Hey there, friends. Dave Paulides, Canine Missing Project. Yes, that is Huck L. Berry. Big thing she wanted me to talk to you about today was just show him my picture, Dad. Just show him my picture. I'm really proud of that picture. And this is Huck TV. Yes, it is hers. You've been a good girl today. Yeah, you're a good girl. Yeah, you're a good girl. Oh, yeah. She's a good puppy. She's a good girl. Yeah. She goes, I think I'm going to sleep this time, Dad. I said, that's okay. You go ahead and sleep through it, girl. Organizers said that we are getting a huge response on the cruise. Yes, September, we're leaving for a 7-day Alaska cruise to Juneau, Sitka, Skagway, Victoria. We're going to have 3 onboard sessions and a Juneau town hall, which will be exceptional. I've done that a couple of times now. There's a cocktail reception, meetups, photo ops. It's huge, folks. This is really, really well done. It's a combination of Missing 411 cruise and a Bigfoot cruise. These are the people that are going to be on the Missing 411 side. And then there's another group on the other side. And the other side has my good friend Jonathan Dover, former game warden for the Navajo police, exceptional individual. So go to GatherUp, GATHERUP events, or that block there on the top right, put your phone on it with your camera and it'll click you through to everything you need. You can freeze frame this and then put your camera in photo mode, put it on that, and you'll get it. And I should talk to you about Missing 411 National Parks, the movie. Available on Amazon, iTunes, and various other locations, but it is for rent now. And what I'm asking you to do is, if you watch it, please, I don't want to beg, but please put up a review. We have hundreds for American Sasquatch, Man, Myth, or Monster. We hardly have any for this movie. So, I don't know why. It's puzzling to me. But please go do it. Then, actually the movie here, I've gotten a series of people contacting me about it and saying how disturbed they are by the story of the man that appears to have disappeared with government involvement. And that is disturbing. And we talk about it in the movie quite a bit. But it's pretty much an epiphany that we got that information. We hadn't ever gotten solidified information like that before. It's troubling. But the other comment I get about this movie, exceptional videography, colors, the mountains. It's stunning. It is. The locations we went to were great. So please get out there and watch it. It would be appreciated. And leave a review. Okay, the story today. It involves the Great Lakes. It's in the Great Lakes area. A little different this time. It's out of Minnesota. Far, far northern Minnesota. And when I originally took a look at this, it's in a city called Kramer, Cramer. When I originally looked at it, I couldn't believe. You look at the pictures of Kramer today, I couldn't believe the way the roads look there. They're so overgrown, it's like, looks like something out of an apocalypse. Kind of scary looking, really. Would I like to live there? I'd like to live there. We'll talk about it. So, when I first started to investigate this, I was walked around in circles by the articles. And what I mean by that, I find an article that had one name, then I'd find an article that had another name, all the same area. I kept going back and forth. The city is so far removed, I think the reporters had a difficult time understanding either what the people were saying there and couldn't understand the name, or something else. But the names that they gave for the victim were Kelly Whitman, W-I-T-M-A-N, Raymond Whiteman, W-I-E-T-M-A-N, Kelly Whiteman, Kelly Wicken, W-H-I-C-K-E-N. Those were all the names that were used for the same victim. So trying to understand the story was difficult. It took me a couple hours to get my handle on it. But the family lived 1 mile north of Kramer, Minnesota. I think it's important you understand this wholeheartedly, so I got out my trusty map so you can see it for yourself. So first of all, we talked about Traverse City, Michigan, the northeast part of Michigan, over by Lake Huron. We talked about a series of disappearances right here. We've talked about Marquette before. And we've talked about Lake Superior several times when that fighter jet intercepted a UFO at Canadian request and disappeared. The UFO and the fighter disappeared, never found. Now, we're going to go right over to the other side of Lake Superior, to the far west side. And Kramer is up here near the Canadian border. I circled this, Leech Lake Indian Reservation, Native American Reservation right there. I circled that because back in the day, when Ben was playing hockey, I was all over the Bigfoot topic. I was right in the middle of writing books and doing the research. And I went by the reservation there. I made some friends. Heard some absolutely unbelievable stories. And then they said, you ought to go talk to this guy down the road. He has some really unusual things happen to him. He's a hunter, he's a backpacker, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I go just down the road, and he wasn't a member of the reservation. He owned like a plumbing company or something. We start talking, he goes, yeah. He goes, when I've been in the woods, I've seen a ton of UFOs, and so have almost all the hunters around here. Just around the reservation, always. Bigfoot sightings and UFOs all the time. Well, really? Well, what I find interesting about that is that tribes were never reluctant to talk about that association between the UFOs and the Bigfoot. I call that being transparent. But anyhow, the reason I bring up Leech Lake is it was on the map. It's not that far from that location, and it's at about the same location across Minnesota as Kramer. And it is so thick out there, it's unbelievable. Leech Lake. So Kramer, when I looked at the pictures, it reminded me almost exactly the same. Well, this incident happened August 1st, 1939. Sometime between 10:30 and 11:30 in the morning was the best guess. Now, Kramer, located 14 miles from Lake Superior. Not that far. In the far northeast corner of the state, it's an unincorporated area of Lake County, Minnesota. Now, in 1911, a post office was established there. That's usually a big deal when a city gets a post office. But then again, in 1917, the government took it away. It was originally a railroad village established in 1910 for the Alger Smith Logging Company. This is interesting. On May 21st, 1926, 100 years ago, a major fire devastated the area around Kramer. Loggers were burning a slash pile, and they let it get out of control, and it burned down all the loggers' housing, destroyed much of the equipment, destroyed much of their product. Communities from far away came to help them control the fire, eventually put it out. And what happened was the logging company had to close because they lost all their equipment, they lost all their housing. It was complete devastation. Very sad story. Now, in 1957, Kramer kind of had a rebirth. And I've never heard of this, but I find it interesting that in 1957, they built something called the Kramer Tunnel, 1,800 feet long. And it was built to connect the Hoyt Lake Talconite plant and connect that with the dock they had on Lake Superior. Well, eventually the plant went bankrupt. Everything closed up. Tunnel's still there. And as I'm reading about this tunnel, there's all these stories about the tunnel being haunted and people telling about their haunted stories. One guy who was a writer for a newspaper said that he went in the tunnel and he said, I got to admit, I was alone. I felt like I was being watched the entire time. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. I wouldn't like that. So, the Kramer Tunnel, still there. And like I said, the city itself has roadways that are entirely overgrown. In the wintertime, it's really cold up there and windy. The area is described as having rolling hills with very thick foliage. And I can imagine that the hunting up there must be pretty good just because there's not a lot of people. So the name we're going to go with for the victim on this is Kelly Wicken. The only reason I go with that is because there were most of the articles had that name. Again, missing August 1st, 1939, 10:30 to 11:30 in the morning. His father, his name was Lawrence, and he worked for the county road department in the spring and the summer, and during the winter he did trapping of animals. Now, Kelly at the time was 2 years old, and he was put in the front yard of the family house to play with his 6-year-old brother. Typical. Now, Mrs. Wicken had her sister visiting, and her sister was from a town about 12 miles south called Finland. Yeah, like the country, Finland. Sister came up to visit for a few days. Well, Mrs. Wicken puts the brothers down in the front yard and then goes in the house and checks on her 16-day-old baby and puts the baby down to sleep so that the sister and Mrs. Wicken can go out and pick blackberries. Oh, I know. Friends, I know what you're going to say. I thought the same thing. You have a 16-day-old baby and you're going to leave the house? That seems a little odd. Just saying. Different times. So the sisters leave at about 8 o'clock, go pick blackberries. And they leave a 6-year-old boy and a 2-year-old boy in the front yard of their house. They come back, and right away they notice that Kelly, the 2-year-old, is missing. Well, that's concerning. Well, they asked the brother, and that was his 4-year-old brother, George. Oh, I'm sorry, 6-year-old brother, George, where Kelly had gone. He says, I don't know. Didn't see him. Did you hear anything? No, didn't hear anything. He was playing in his own mound of dirt, I guess. I don't know. Ladies searched the home, first of all. Found that the baby was all right. Everything else was normal. They searched the yard. And then they searched the road. Called his name. Yelled for him. Nothing. Well, they were very lucky because their neighbor was a forest ranger named Ekbeck. O.M. Ekbeck. The sister ran over to their home to get help. Eckbeck realized right away that they need more assistance and summoned a local game warden named Arthur Allen, and also requested the assistance of the local sheriff, Emil Nelson, from Two Harbors. So you got to understand something. Back in 1939, roads were not real good. You can't move real fast. Everything takes time. But local residents, speaking mouth to mouth, whenever anything like this happened, everyone was asked to contact one person, and it was kind of a trail of information. So pretty soon, people from the towns in the surrounding area came and started to help search. It was a very warm, humid August day. Remember that. Lawrence's father. How many times have I told you, when something like this happens, father isn't usually there? Another instance, the father isn't there. He was out working at his county job. He got word that his son vanished, and he came home. So that first day, so it's now it's about 11:30, 12, people start arriving, the hottest part of the day. And they had a small contingent of locals, friends, and authorities that were searching the homestead area. And the home, it sits about 300 feet from the county road and is in an isolated area of North Kramer. The only other thing is a creek nearby, but the area right in front of the home is like a cleared meadow. And then the kids were sitting in front of the house, between the house and the meadow. This is the only photo they had that I could find of Kelly, 2 years old. Now, that first day on August 1st, they searched until late into the night. Didn't find anything, but only had a ragged group of people. The forest ranger had already contacted the CCC camp in Isabella and requested that they send everyone they had, 175 CCC workers, to the residents from Little Morais, Finland, and then people came from Finland, Kramer, and scattered cities south. Everybody from that northeast corner of Minnesota heard about this, and if they could come, they were coming. When the people got there, the ranger took it upon himself to put them into teams and had them search quadrants of the house and the area surrounding it. Again, thick bush, and the area around the house had an unusual landscape because years earlier, big fire burned through there, burned out a lot of the foliage. But then the surrounding area got thick again. Now, there is a small creek in that area of the house, and CCC workers, 3 of them, were assigned to go in each direction and go out as far as they can until dark and then come back. They figured they went out 3 or 4 miles. The creek wasn't very deep, and they said, each team said, they found no tracks on the banks of the creek, they found nothing in the creek, and they came back to report they had no leads. Well, that was good, because they were fearing that maybe Kelly had gone to this creek, or maybe bears were hanging out in the creek. Got to remember something about bears. Bears do not like heat. And at the heat of the day, bears will find a cool area to hang out. And sometimes they will lay right in the middle of a river to cool off, or a creek. They didn't find any, which was good, because that was a concern. So the first full day of searching, they had over 100 people, they found nothing. Second full day, they had over 200 people. And they had CCC coming, and they got there about midway through the day. They had another 175 there. August 3rd, Kelly was reported last seen wearing a bright yellow shirt and white pants. And everyone believed that those colors would help the searchers find him. Well, again, searchers flip-flopped the quadrants they'd been searching, so they weren't searching the same area. They spent 12 hours searching until dark. Every conceivable location was turned over. Concerns were rising that the young boy could survive in that heat without water. Remember, he wasn't by that creek, because they would have found him, and they weren't having any success. Now, the play area that the kids played in was that area that runs from the house to the creek. Creek is 700 feet away. Kelly was last seen playing in that area right in front of the home. Now, the parents said that Kelly had played in that area with his brother, many, many times. Never walked away, never wanted to get away from the brother. So on the 3rd, they complete another full day. They get reports from the team leaders. Nothing found, nothing seen, no leads. Just a brutally hot day of searching. August 4th, another full day of CCC involvement. The press heard of the story and actually came out and interviewed some locals. The ranger's wife, Mrs. Eckbeck, was interviewed because her husband was in the field, and stated that they believe that the boy was picked up by a bear. Ooh, that's not good. She said that there had been a lot of bear there earlier in the year, but searchers had not reported any bear scat, any recent tracks, had not seen any bear. So her statement is a little puzzling. Remember what I've said before, recent local reports for local consumption. If they can just quell the issue by saying something that may fit for the area, then people may just go away and forget it. Honestly, that's the way these things are handled. Now, on August 5th, Ranger Eckbeck is interviewed by the press, and he now says that he believed the boy wandered to the main highway, was struck by a car, and then the body was dumped by the side of the road, and then a bear took it. What? That's a mouthful. That's a lot of ifs, and ifs. Okay, if Kelly's hit by a car, then the person just dumps the boy on the side of the road? And then a bear comes around and gets it, and that's the reason they're not finding it? Really? CCC workers were sent home at the end of the day on the 5th. Nothing found in 3 full days of searching. They got frustrated. Their leadership said, we can't find anything, so they went home. Or they went back to work doing other things. So now that took away the majority of the searchers. The people in the city were getting tired. They had been away from home. They hadn't had a good meal in a couple days. They were being fed, but it was brutally hot. Now, Lawrence, the father, got a ride to Duluth, the biggest city close to them, to make a plea to the Duluth newspaper and the Associated Press. He wanted the AP to pick up the story that his son had still not been found, and he asked searchers to come north to help look for his son because CCC was leaving. He said he believed his son may have been hit by a car, and if true, could the driver please come forward and tell the family? He was pleading. He needed help, and there was a small article picked up. It wasn't huge, and it stated essentially what I just said. August 6th, the sheriff, Emil Nelson, said he believed the boy is not alive, but hasn't given up just yet on finding him. He said he'd search one more day with limited resources, and he had only a few searchers on site for August 6th. But remember, the dad went to Duluth to plead for more searchers, and he got a handful more on the 7th. Local hunters heard about his plea. They knew the area. They were probably the best people to be searching that area. And what they did is they got 50 searchers, and they lined up in a line, arm's distance apart, and they walked every one of the cuts that were burned, cleared them. Next day went to another area. Next day went to another area. On August 10th, search was termed. They hadn't found anybody. They hadn't found any clues. Nothing. So remember this, folks. This is the important part to me. No clothing found. Should have found a piece of the clothing if something bad happened. No tracks found. No bear tracks. No boy tracks. No tracks. No blood found. This is important. If there was a serious injury or an attack, there would be blood. And the brother that Kelly was with heard no screams. If a boy was, say, attacked, you would hear him scream. So the theories that were put forward by various people were interesting. But the sheriff made a statement. The forest ranger made a statement. But Arthur Allen, the game warden, who knew the game better than anybody, didn't say anything. Like I said, that to me says a lot. So what were the theories that were put forward? He fell in the creek, drowned, washed away. Problems with that? The creek was shallow. People walked it for miles and miles in each direction, didn't find anything. And they found no tracks. The creek hadn't gone up because they hadn't had any bad weather during that time. So any tracks going to the creek should have been seen, and none were. Bad theory. Second one was, he walked to the road and got hit by a car. First of all, no tracks leading from the house to the road. Remember, it's a dirt road back then. They would have found tracks, none seen. Number two, that highway, not a lot of traffic. There weren't a lot of people living out there. The idea that a neighbor hit him, possible. But then why would you not take it back to the family? The claim that they threw it on the side of the road and a bear got it. That goes right back to the bear theory. That's next. Third theory, carried away by a bear. Number one, this would have happened late in the morning. Well, or sometime between 8 and 10:30, 8 and 11:30. Bears leave tracks. They leave scat. And if they pick something up, they leave drag marks. The game warden was the one person to make a comment about bears and didn't. I believe he didn't because he knew there were no bears in that area, but he didn't want to step on people's toes. There was no recent activity of bears in that area. So what happened? Well, with so many different last names, it was hard for me to decipher what heritage Kelly was. So I really can't go to that. And he was in that Great Lakes area. And how far can a 2-year-old toddle? Right? So I don't believe he walked out of that area. There's no way. I think all the theories are bad. But if you're the parent, you have to rest your laurels on a theory back then. So I understand. But it's very perplexing, friends. Very perplexing. So, how can I say thank you for being here? I've gotten several kind notes about you guys saying nice things about Huck. I can't tell her those things. She'll get a big head and demand more time, more snacks. You know how it is. But you guys are appreciated. And I appreciate all the comments you put down on the videos. I would only ask that you be sensitive because sometimes these families read those comments. So please don't attack anybody or say mean things about them because they may see that and I don't want them to. I want them to know that you guys are great people. I know what you're thinking though. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Now, as far as leaving a 16-day-old baby alone in the house for 2.5 hours, I don't understand that one. I'm sorry. Or leaving a 2-year-old boy in front of a house for 2.5 hours, even if the brother's 6 years old, I'm sorry. That's like the blind leading the blind. No, that dog don't hunt. You don't even have to say it. I get it. So, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, please. I've had hundreds of people in the last month tell me they were forcibly unsubscribed and they aren't getting the videos. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Be safe. Kindness. Smile at the clerks at the store and the post office. They're just doing a job, a tough one. Paulides out.